Unit number 18, Why the Sea is Salty. A long, long time ago, there were two brothers, one rich and one poor. One Christmas Eve, John, the poor one, had no food in the house. He went to see his brother Peter to ask for something to have for lunch on Christmas Day. It was not the first time Peter had been forced to help John, and so he wasn't very glad to see his face. He said, "If you will do what I ask you to do, I'll help you." Poor John was full of thanks and said he would do anything. "Well, here is the meat," said the rich brother. "Now go straight to Dead Man's Hall." "I have given my word, so I must do as you say," said John. He took the meat and set off. He walked the whole day, and at dusk he came to a strange gateway. "Maybe this is it," said John to himself. Then he saw an old man who stood outside sawing wood. "Good evening," said John. "Good evening. Where are you going?" said the man. "Oh, I'm trying to find the way to Dead Man's Hall," answered the poor man. "Well, you are here," said the old man. "When you get inside, they will all offer to buy your meat, because meat is scarce in Dead Man's Hall. Make sure you don't sell it unless you get the hand mill which stands behind the door in exchange. When you come out, I'll teach you how to handle the mill. You can use it to grind almost anything." The poor man thanked the old man for his good advice and knocked at the door. When he got in, everything was just as the old man had said. Everyone came swarming up to him like ants around an anthill, and each tried to outbid the other for the meat. "Well," said John, "my wife and I were going to have this meat for our dinner, but since you want it so much, I must sell it to you. I'll swap it for the mill over there." At first they refused, and they haggled with John, but John stuck to what he said, and at last they gave him the mill. When John got out into the yard, the old woodcutter taught him how to use it. He thanked the woodcutter and went off home as fast as he could. It was very late when John got home. "Where have you been?" said his worried wife. "I had to go a long way," said John, "but look at what I have got." He put the mill on the table and told it to grind lights, then a tablecloth, then meat, and so on till they had got everything that was nice for Christmas. The mill ground out whatever he told it to. His wife was astonished. They had everything they had wanted and their stomachs were full. After a few days, he asked all his friends and kin to his house and gave a great feast. When his rich brother saw all that was on the table and all that was in the house, he grew quite spiteful and wild. He couldn't bear that his brother should have anything. "He came to me on Christmas Eve," Peter said to the rest. "He was begging because he had nothing, and now he gives a feast as if he were king." Peter turned to John and said, "Where did all this wealth come from?" John didn't want to tell him at first, but later on he became boastful and he could keep his secret no longer. He brought out the mill and said, "This is what has made me rich." He made the mill grind all kind of things. When Peter saw it, he wanted the mill. John eventually agreed to give it to him in exchange for 300 pieces of silver. It was evening when the rich brother got the mill home. Peter said to his wife, "You go out for a walk and I'll have dinner ready when you get home." He put the mill on the kitchen table and said, "Grind herrings and broth, and grind them good and fast." So the mill started. When the first dish was full, Peter got another. When all the dishes were full, Peter got a tub. When all the tubs were full, the food began to spill onto the kitchen floor, and still it kept flowing. Peter twisted and twirled at the mill to get it to stop, but the mill went on grinding. In a little while, the broth rose so high that Peter was about to drown. Just in time, he managed to get hold of the latch of the house door and escape. Once out, he ran off down the road, with a stream of herrings and broth at his heels, roaring like a waterfall over the whole farm. Peter ran to his brother's house and begged him to take back the mill immediately. If it grinds for much longer, we'll all drown in herrings and broth. But John wouldn't agree to take it back till Peter paid him 300 pieces of silver more. So poor John got both the money and the mill. He used the mill to set up a farmhouse far finer than his brother's. He even covered it with gold. The farm lay by the seaside, and the golden house gleamed and glistened far away over the sea. All who sailed by put ashore to see the rich man in the golden house and the wonderful famous mill. One day a ship's captain came to the farm. He wanted to see the mill. He asked, "Can it grind salt?" "Grind salt?" said John. "Yes, it can grind anything." When the captain heard that, he said he must have the mill, whatever the cost. With it, he would never again have to cross the stormy seas to collect salt. At first, John wouldn't sell it. The captain begged and pleaded so hard that at last John agreed, but only when the captain had paid him many thousands of silver pieces. The captain took the mill and left quickly before John could change his mind. He had no time to ask how to handle the mill. He got on board his ship as fast as he could and set sail. When he had sailed a good way off, he brought the mill on the deck. "Grind salt," he said. The mill began to grind salt, and it poured out in a stream until a ship was full. The captain wished to stop the mill, but whichever way he turned it and however much he tried, it was no good. The mill kept grinding on, and the heap of salt grew and grew until the ship was sunk. To this day, the mill lies at the bottom of the sea and grinds away, and that's why the sea is salty.